William the Conqueror's sons had resolved their long feud over Normandy, with King Henry wresting possession away from his brother. But the French King Louis VI would not accept Henry's heir as the future Duke of Normandy. Henry's fragile power would face its first test, an invasion by the French king. In the disputed countryside between Normandy and France, a smouldering farmstead gave away the beginnings of a French invasion. At the head of the vast army stood King Louis of France himself. An English scout hastily rode to inform King Henry of England, who was still en route to defend his borders. Hearing of the threat, villagers and guards fled their English-held towns and retreated to the stronghold of Fleury. Above all, the English forces in Normandy had been commanded to hold the town of Fleury and await King Henry's arrival.
And you work it.
Lister!
Yes, sir.
Yeah, on stereo. Commodore. You did it over.
For where does it lead to?
At last, King Henry and his forces made their arrival at Fleury.
Read it through, Lucas.
Darkel Canitas Jan, Canitas. What I will say about and Arne to hear it! Obedience is Arne Artu! Arne Smith.
Knowing that King Louis himself was on the field, Henry saw his chance to put England's claim to Normandy beyond doubt.
Look at you, be it Duce is number then.
King Henry's men struck at the French forces and recaptured the town.
Yeah. fahre to hier.
Engines are settled. Hit it and engines over your day.
Knights, into the south!
With the border towns recaptured, King Henry's claim to Normandy faced only one more obstacle: King Louis and his army. In the humble peasants' fields of Bremule, two kings would settle their claim to Normandy.
Agrepes for hest, alunganu, ferret.
Average, yeah.
Entend, we are going the Tulkas. Nu, Tulkas, set it here. Entend, movement, get it with.
Everything is active.
Far from home, but rallied by their king, the English army forced a French surrender and put King Louis and his knights to flight. With the impromptu battle ending in resounding victory for the English, King Henry had secured his ancestral lands under the English crown. After England defeated the French at the Battle of Bremule, Normandy was back in King Henry's hands. But 1 year later, his good fortune turned to tragedy. In 1120, his son and heir William Adelin died in a shipwreck. The future of Henry I's kingdom was in jeopardy. Henry desperately needed a new heir. With no legitimate sons left alive, he broke with tradition and chose his daughter, Matilda. Henry forced his barons to swear an oath to accept Matilda as queen. But when the king died, they broke their promise. England would not be ruled by a woman. Matilda's cousin Stephen saw his chance and claimed the throne. The crisis moved to the capital. At Westminster Abbey, Stephen was crowned king, but Matilda wanted what was hers. She was also lining up powerful supporters who would fight Stephen for her right to rule. Their conflict engulfed England in civil war. Fighting raged throughout the land. In 1141, everything focused on one of the kingdom's most strategic cities, Lincoln. Matilda's allies had commandeered the castle. But King Stephen was determined to take it back. He besieged the castle. Stalemate. As dawn broke on February the 2nd, everything was about to change. Matilda's half-brother, Robert of Gloucester, raced to break the siege. As Robert's forces approached Lincoln, Stephen's army turned away from the castle to face them. Robert could win Matilda the crown, but only if his army could win the day. Robert of Gloucester's forces approached Lincoln. Their task, to liberate the castle from King Stephen's siege. While behind Lincoln's walls, troops loyal to Matilda held the castle for the Empress. First, Robert's forces would stage an ambush to prevent enemy reinforcements from joining with King Stephen's army.
Hierwe voor bloed onbaal. Ik doe zo verhetest. Ik forfeit in hes. That should be it.
Robert's men concealed themselves in a sheltered grove and lay in wait for the enemy. Robert defeated the first column of Stephen's reinforcements, but he knew more were on the way.
Hessa should be here. Ich obey dein Hess.
Courser is saddled, Scouter is ready.
What wilt thou? Ich forfeit in Hess.
Scouter is ready to read. Ich habe ihn found at the bow! Scouter is ready to build.
more of Stephen's reinforcements eliminated,
Each will
Robert
have
was
the
steadily undermining the siege.
Not sleeping. We have to carry up. Ich fortsätte es. Ich tue so, du hättest.
Ich will do that.
Järvef hessa syöpi ihren. Ich tue so, du hättest. Wat päätin hesten?
Bandits! He's sending near me! Ich habe Faunen der Foe!
Robert's men decimated King Stephen's reinforcements and were poised to break the siege. Continuing the push towards Lincoln, Robert sent in a large company of reinforcements to aid his vanguard. To further weaken the siege, Robert would need to cut off Stephen's supplies. He targeted the nearby market town.
Not slew. Gaff. Jaren herende hästas nu. Det kan du.
Al Suiza, yes. Te dwindleth, bereth.
Al Suiza, yes.
Volende hästas.
Matilda's cause, a large group of knights arrived at Lincoln to bolster Robert's army. With the market town in ruins, King Stephen's supplies began to dwindle. Robert received word that Welsh troops under Matilda's banner were en route to join forces with him. But King Stephen had the roads to Lincoln heavily guarded, and the route was not without risk, even for the hardy Welshmen.
Jonas Jare Todon.
Scouters, ready.
Jär hästes cometh, arwemen.
Ich will the stunda. Afrikan Jara.
Entendeth, Freck. Und devotas, bereth.
Intended to head Luther. Whether Schulen Wegan.
It is at mina wörder färg. Fortfarande fräckes. Mitt valden.
Making their way to Lincoln, Matilda's Welsh allies were ambushed by the king's soldiers. Robert's men would need to aid the Welsh if they wanted their help in breaking the siege.
Benders is enemies! Undus Benders Rasa! Gekauft do Endemi Dute! When?
Fuste Turkes. Hestes, heriende,
Joining forces on the road to Lincoln, Matilda's allied troops made for the castle to lift the siege.
Look out and then head to serve. It is Caesar for Actus, for wanted raiders, in Baldenes. Nu Turkes, set it here. Admino word. He shall nail it down. Ut readeth nu, Tulkas. All is with it. Andente to servant.
Dente tu serve. Alla suite. Certes. Dute is none but
Robert's forces spotted a large detachment of Stephen's soldiers guarding the castle gates.
Do Endemi Dute!
If they hoped to liberate Lincoln, they would need to break the blockade and rout the army. Robert's forces scattered the king's army, leaving the gates to the castle unguarded.
Nu Hestes.
Certes. He shall nail it down.
Saint to Hestes.
Robert's men finally united with Lincoln's garrison. They could now use the castle to strengthen their army. To lift the siege, they needed to destroy the enemy camps surrounding the castle.
Admino word, Felix. Ich live to hear it.
Matilda's forces struck hard, destroying one of King Stephen's siege camps. King Stephen's army dwindled as Matilda's forces struck down another siege camp.
Ik liebe Sekte!
Hästet kommer!
The king's army was scattered, and those who didn't fall fled. King Stephen was spotted, shielded by his men. To end the siege, Matilda's forces needed to capture Stephen and rout his army.
Hestes for Hestes. Swamp them.
Den Hester?
Jahre an zur Marke. Aggressat ja. Ich höre das.
What shall we do? Dein Hestes, ich liebe to hear it.
I don't read. Hestes, yeah. I don't read. Swamp
Dein Hestes! Yeah, ich hab Gunde! Attente to servant! Look, you'll be ready, Freckles.
Send the man to me no one, kiss. Something to shaken.
Dein Hestes!
You're welcome, Lord Dunbar.
Min spärre!
Ja, Hispana on the loaded.
Den Hester?
What way up in Hester?
Jetzt alles with it.
And a fresh market.
Servants! Look, you'll attente to servant. Sperremen! Duty is not for them. Min spärre!
Matilda's men closed in and finally captured King Stephen. Matilda's forces had won the battle at Lincoln. But the fight for the crown was not over yet.